We are Squawking Dead, a podcast pulverizing episodes beyond the Walking Dead universe. I'm your host, David Cameo, and I'm joined by Cosmom09 Rachel Burke, because she actually is here, not interrupting my flow without her here. Sharon D. Akeley, a.k.a. Blazy Gardner, and Bridget, ko-fi.com/punkybrewster. That's PUNKYBRUISETER. And we're here live with you to discuss the full breakdown of the fourth episode of The Last of Us, titled, Please Hold On to My Hand. I've made it a point to remember it because it's a little tough to remember. But hey, Mitchell, hey in the chat. Let me see. I wanted to do some house cleaning, but I kind of forget what it was. Truthfully, I did want to bring up this article that I don't think we're going to have time to look into, so I'm saying it now so that I can drop a pin in it when you visit the blog to check out my thoughts on this thing. And it was Michelle Goldberg of the New York Times wrote an opinion article on The Last of Us, advocating specifically regarding episode 3, obviously, which was just remind me, long time.
Long time.
Yes. Yeah.
And how it was how the title says like actually I have it right here. Yeah, it was The Last of Us is actually conservative, and basing those thoughts on this specific episode, basically calling Bill a conservative. And Bridget, you and I were on the reaction video. We're like, yeah, definitely a libertarian because the Gadsden flag, the "Don't tread on me," essentially.
Yeah.
My critique of this article, because I read it, and guess who sent me this article? My mother-in-law.
Your mom.
My mamica.
Mom-in-law.
That's right. So, wasn't she great? Oh my God. So,
So cute.
so I read the article, and look, it's written well, and it does praise The Last of Us. However, Michelle Goldberg, who was actually on a debate stage alongside Michael Eric Dyson and debating against Jordan Peterson and Stephen Fry, they were debating basically, is it possible that the left can go too far, essentially, and identity politics and all that stuff. And she was on stage with Michael Eric Dyson, and they were trying to argue that the left doesn't go too far, and it's actually the right that's the problem, etc. So what the gist of the article is, in my opinion, a fundamental misunderstanding of what conservatism is and who the right are, essentially. And the reason why I brought this up, because I wasn't going to, is because I actually read another article today from Barry Weiss from her new, journalistic effort called The Free Press. And she actually wrote an interesting article about something that we often talk about on this show, and that is why it is so much that we yearn to be a part of The Last of Us, the communities in The Last of Us. And that's basically the survival being the hierarchy, the highest of the hierarchy of needs, and maintaining our familial and community connections as a necessity. Right, Bridget? This is something you brought up a lot recently, and I recently had to update it via clip. And it was wonderfully written particularly on the note of going back to Jakarta or Indonesia and Malaysia and all those kinds of countries where you have such drastic income inequality. And even in those communities where there's a drastic divide between the rich and the poor, there's this cross-community taking care of one another, essentially. And tying it into this article and The Last of Us, and how it doesn't have to be the way that it is in some areas of this country and in many other different countries, and how we don't have to lose the world to lose community, essentially. We have to just figure it out in this newfound landscape. And I really like it. Thomas O'Mara says the fundamentals. Yeah, we'll get to that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to link, I can link to the New York Times article, but it's behind a paywall, but I will be making the full article of Michelle Goldberg's article in the New York Times available in our Ko-fi and Patreon, essentially, for those who support us. And for, if you buy us a tip, buy us a coffee, I'll take a screenshot of the article so you can read it yourself. It's not terribly long at all, but I will also link alongside it Barry Weiss's article too. I just think it's great that people that don't normally people that don't normally comment on stuff like The Walking Dead or The Last of Us, or that used to. Remember, The Walking Dead was like the biggest thing at the time, and so it was kind of cool to see that zombie horror seepage into popular culture, because obviously The Last of Us is doing gangbusters all over the place. And so I will link to those articles in the blog so that you can check them out later. So
Did anyone check to see how if there was a viewer increase with this episode?
Yes.
Because I did not.
there
check
was
this time.
even higher
Okay.
than last week. Yep.
Wow.
And so now that you said it, I'll link to whatever article that is in the blog too, because it's getting bigger and bigger. It's going crazy, with Pedro Pascal hosting SNL last Saturday night too, which was funny as hell. A lot of viral shit coming out of
I didn't watch
there.
it, but I did watch the clip of the
The Mario Kart.
Mario.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was good. It was really funny.
It was so funny. My friend Josh sent it to me. I think during our reaction, I think it was. I managed to watch it before our reaction video, but I didn't think we'd have enough time to talk about it. Essentially, I watched it with Evelyn too, so it was really kind of funny.
I liked it.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. Okay, so now that that's out of the way, thank God, because again, I don't think we're gonna have time to really dig into that.
I don't want to touch that.
Yeah.
I don't want to touch it.
I have an idea about like maybe talking about it in a separate discussion. I don't know how that's going to be. But time and who has the time, and I don't know how it's going to. But it's a worthwhile discussion, I think, because I think if the apocalypse dramas have taught me anything, is that we have to really, really try hard to try to understand one another in order to work together, as is evidenced by this episode, which is what we're talking about. So let me read some of the comments before we go to first impressions. And that is, Thomas, is this live or recorded? No, I'm just talking a lot, Thomas. Sun's out, puns out. Thomas says, let's talk about the Stay Puft Marshall Man shaking up the floor in that room. When is he going to appear? Probably the next episode. And it's probably what we said in the reaction video is a bloater. And Sharon D says, live from New York, Carol, Michigan. It's squawking night. More laughter. Anyway.
No, it wasn't. No,
No,
the delivery was subpar.
shit. Listen, give the queen of puns her day.
Oh, the joke was good. It was your delivery.
Thank you.
Oh no,
Shots
Oh,
fired.
shots fired. Bloated host.
came out so.
It's,
white
you know what?
here, man.
It's fair.
Ooh.
It's fair. Talk about bridging gaps. It's fair. It's fair. Let's get along, Thomas. It's fine. Anyway.
So I was watching a breakdown today, and one of the things they were talking about was, yes, it could be a bloater, but it could also be kind of what I suggested, like a mycelial network that has eaten the floor out from underneath. Right? It's all bean sprouts down there now, and they're like pulsating and stuff. So I'm not the only one that thought that.
I see. Okay. Oh, that's so, yeah. Okay. That's good. It's like an underground cavern full of mycelials that are waiting to burst out, essentially.
I mean, that makes
Yeah,
sense because
tendrils.
the bloaters have so much to do with spores, and they're not doing that. So maybe the bloater would be different.
I think, you know what? Unlike the praise that I gave them for episode 3 in keeping old Bill and Frank under wraps, I think they kind of gave up the ghost in either the teaser leading up to this the 5th episode, which is, by the way, we'll say it again, the 5th episode is available early on Friday night on HBO Max, not HBO. HBO will air it publicly on Sunday night. They just they're copying the AMC Plus playbook and making it available early on HBO Max. This is to clear things up, by the way, because of the Super Bowl. So, hey, that's Steven Sweet. Clip it up with the sweets. Hey, buddy.
Got excited.
Yeah, we got very excited when we saw you. Okay. And Thomas says, what if it's Madison? It'll give you something to fear.
I mean, she would be the biggest monster on there, right? Like, I would be way more upset if I saw her instead of a bloater.
She's the reason egg prices have skyrocketed.
That's what, where is, does somebody say that?
No, I just made that
Bridget
up.
just
Dave.
did.
Because I was
Bridget
looking for
just said it.
I was looking for Thomas. It's
No, but
just-
thank you.
Do you
I
blame
take,
me?
I take that as a compliment.
I think
though,
so too.
that I
Yeah,
would be
yeah.
Thomas level wit. Thank you.
Very, very good, Bridget. Very good. I ruined it. I'm sorry, I ruined it. Anyway,
You really did.
That's
Man, this
twice.
is like
That's
I
2
know.
jokes, Dave. Come on.
my watch is
It's
ended.
your blame it on your hearing, Joel.
Okay, we're gonna talk about this now
Oh,
because we find out in
can
this.
I mention?
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. No, go ahead, Dave.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Before the show, I told the ladies that just like Joel in this episode, my right ear is acting funny. I can't hear too well out of this ear. This ear's the good ear, but even that one is acting funky. I'm hearing like bass sounds a lot stronger, and it's something that's freaking me out right now. But yeah, here we are. Yeah. So
I hear Megan Trainor every time you say that.
Okay. I had something applicable to the show though. So I'm gonna cut it in here. Okay, so Joel mentions that he has a hard time hearing out of his right ear.
mhm.
Or Ellie notices it rather. Now that is I read that that's a play on something that is a feature in the video game. There's a button that you hit on the video game and it like
It leans,
kind of
right?
forces Joel to like focus and you can see the silhouettes of everything that's in the background, like all the enemies that are in the background. So he has this like hyper hearing in the video game.
That's a cool
So it
mechanic.
was
Is
like
that
a little
is that in the second one,
it's
part
like a
two,
little
or
play on that.
Well, I mean,
No, it's in
isn't
the
that
first one.
okay?
that's especially funny because the only way the clickers can see or bloaters can hear you is to hear you. So that's kind of a play with Joel losing his hearing and hearing being necessary for the echolocation of the monsters.
Right. Which, by the way, I've heard that in the game, it's not like they can hear like long distances. Their hearing is sensitive but short. It has a small radius essentially. So it's just something to note. Okay, so let's read what you're laughing at.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, no, let's not. It's fine. Oh, but
Oh my gosh.
Oh, bye, Steven.
that's what I was
and-
gonna say. Yeah.
Bye, sweets.
Well, so he says much love to
Yeah.
y'all
And
at work.
Monica.
At work,
It's-
just
yeah,
wanted to
it's
drop
Monica.
in. Just gonna share the stream real quick. Oh, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Pivy says I'm just trying to play bass in the kitchen. I hear it. I hear it.
What? Oh, I gotta switch my shit again. I can't see.
Do we have a button that can push for Dave to hyper focus? You know, usually I'm much more on top of things. I think the hearing's throwing me off anyway. Okay, so let's go to first impressions. Let's start with Rachel because, I want to know what you think.
It was cute. I don't know
It's cute.
if
was
everyone knows this about me, but I love stupid dad jokes so much. I laughed way too hard at every single one of those jokes. I think I started crying when she told the scarecrow joke.
He's
It
outstanding in his
was
field.
so funny, and I could not concentrate on anything else. Those jokes were just running through my head the whole time.
Like diarrhea?
It was great. Yes. Yeah, it's hereditary,
Yeah, I've heard.
Oh my God.
I heard from this
Crack
year.
yourself up. You just cracked yourself up again.
On the note of puns, on second watch, I noticed that the author's name is Will Livingston. That's a pun too, or at least a sort of anagram of some kind. It's the will to living ton, or living's ton, right? Because they're not living, right? They're sort of dead. It's the will to live. Anyway. I just thought it was kind of cool. I'm like,
funny, too.
hey, hey. Nobody's reacting to that. Okay, let's move on
After
then.
No.
After Ellie told the first joke about the algebra, I said, I need this book. I need this book right now. I want this to be real, and I
it
need
is a
it
real
in my
book.
life.
No way, is it? I didn't
It's a
even
real
bother
book.
to look.
I need it.
You can find it for real. It is a real book.
Let's plug it in the blog. There is.
Sorry, bye.
Pi says, dad jokes are the best jokes. And Thomas says, what if Rachel is
You
Ellie?
saw nothing.
Thomas said, mermaid wears an algae bra. Well, repeating. Rachel, I saw that. I saw that. Take that tea bag out of the cup. It's illegal.
I know, right?
Foul. What American?
Oversteeping American.
Yeah, we like our shit strong. Anyway.
Better
Oh,
that way.
well, what else have you noticed? Like, what of your reactions that you kind of enjoyed outside of the punny humor?
Me?
Yeah, Rachel.
Oh, I thought it was really cool. The shootout scene felt very much like a video game, right? Like the guys in the background sounded like straight out of a video game. Like they could have taken those sound bites right out of a video game. I was like, that's cool. I don't know if they did. I'm sure they did it on purpose, but I thought that was pretty cool. I did enjoy how this episode literally moved the story forward by means of travel. Like we see them cover a lot of ground.
A lot
in this
of
episode.
ground.
So yeah. So I thought that was pretty cool. What else? I wanted to make a comment about how clean that 20-year-old truck was, but it was in a garage for how long? So it might have been that clean.
Probably a heated
But
garage
no
too.
rust. Yeah, I was gonna say, but no rust after 20 years. That's a little.
Well, he probably didn't take it many places. I know that they started to walk to all the locations that we're trying to go to at the very least, or trying to get into a running regiment. So they probably didn't. Go ahead.
I'm in Michigan, where half the vehicles here are made of rust. So maybe it's different in other states.
No. In the Northeast, Massachusetts,
Yeah.
New Hampshire, and all that. Yeah, no salt trucks, winter. Yeah.
Yeah, but there
Same here
wouldn't be
in
any
the
salt
Carolinas.
trucks.
That's true.
So
There would be no salt.
there
Oh.
wouldn't be any salt on the road.
Touche.
So
Touche. But the salt does mix with like the concrete. Sorry, the snow and the rain mix with the concrete. There's a effect there, I think. No, but I guess it doesn't really matter, right? You're right. As evidenced by the fact that Bill deconstructed the battery to keep it in long-term storage in the fridge too. Like, I mean, he probably didn't get much use out of it anyway. Right, and it was tarped over too, right? Just there you go.
Yeah.
There
yeah,
you go.
That's true.
So, I mean, you don't tarp over a truck in a garage expecting to use it frequently. So,
Fair enough.
right, not like in Brooklyn where we tarp over even our shit boxes. So, anyway, outside though, not indoors. Brian,
Brian.
go ahead. Brian says, I loved how they were showing how it was showing Mother Earth taking over civilization instead of neatly mowed grass at a prison. The Cynic Radio podcast actually mentioned that as well, as in comparison to The Walking Dead. I just listened to their episode today. I think it was Cynic is spelled Cinik. So if you want to look them up, their episode's like about 45 minutes, and no, they did a good analytical
listen
breakdown.
to this one instead.
I like, you know what? I like plugging in people's shit. They're already here, Bridget. We might as well give them more meat, you know?
No.
Now they just stopped. This episode.
Well, don't
Go
leave
find
now.
Oh,
Leave later. Pivy says, "Who mows
Write it down.
lawns during
Write it
the?"
down.
Pivy says, "Who mows all the lawns during the apocalypse?" Brian says, "We had a truck cover and in a garage." Bill was very intelligent. I bet he took care of it. Yeah, that makes sense too. Pivy says, "Give me some meat, David." I say no, and I mean maybe later. Like I said, later. Thomas says 45 minutes is less than 3 hours. I'm gonna suck my dick, Thomas. To be fair, the podcast at the end of the day, I'm happy when the podcasts end up coming below 2 hours. It's lately the last year or so we've been pretty lucky, I think, and even with these doubleheader episodes, the reaction and the full breakdown, fingers crossed. So let's move on. Speaking of keeping things moving.
Time.
So, okay, so where do we want to go next? Because I think, Sharon, do you have something probably in the tank, right? As far as the Hank Williams song. You wanted to bring up
Yeah,
last time and you didn't.
The title comes from the Hank Williams song.
Alone and right. Alone and Forsaken is
Alone
the
and Forsaken.
right.
He says, "Please hold, dear God, please hold to my hand" in the lyrics of the song. And the last song that plays at the end is a version of True Faith by New Order, which Bill calls them New Order
Jack
jackboot
boots.
thugs. um, and the song is 80s. It's a 1987 song, so 80s, which means danger.
Hmm.
But the flip side of that song on the album is called 1963, which is also a decade of the songs, which meant all clear, I
All
think.
clear. Yeah, that's right.
All clear. Yeah. Also, another cute little thing was when they're driving and you see the Love's
Right.
gas sign and then the Arby's below it. That was a little callback to Bill and Frank also because this isn't an Arby's.
And it's
Arby's was a restaurant. They didn't give free lunches.
and they were in love anyway. But yeah,
And they were in love, yeah.
for anybody who was interested, the cover of that True Faith song was sung by Lottie Kestner. So Kestner. So you can check that out. That's something for you, and I'll be embedding it in the blog. So, and the songs are pretty telling too. So, like, if you go back to the Hank Williams song, like, I'm not
Wait,
gonna
what was the name of the Hank Williams song?
Alone and Forsaken.
Alone and Forsaken.
And the song is basically about glory fading, essentially. And like nature.
Love fading too, because he talks about how he's in love. When they're first in love, it's like the springtime and the flowers are blooming and everything's gold. But then she leaves and everything turns dark and gray.
Right.
Basically, was the gist of the song.
Interestingly enough, in the video game, it is a Hank Williams song. Also, it's not the same song.
Wait, say that again?
It's a different Hank Williams song in the video game. In the video game,
okay.
It's I'll Never Get Out of This World Alive, which is what I said during our first stream because I didn't know that it was a different song.
Oh wow, that's interesting. So what does that say, right? But yeah, I mean, the song itself also like one of the lines is "Alone and forsaken by fate and by man. Oh Lord, if you hear me, please hold onto my hand," like you said, Sharon. Oh, please understand. And it's like it's not only about love; it's about God. I think even God and nature forsaking Him as well. Essentially, it's like just like the idea of true faith, which even that song is about. It's sort of like about abandoning faith or breaking trust, both breaking trust and having your trust broken, and like what are the consequences essentially. So there's some themes that are playing with each other in this one too, in this episode. So okay, so wait, hold on a second. Pivy says a well-made road can last up to 2 weeks without cracking. Oh, I must have missed something. But anyway, give me some meat, David. I love you guys. Hope you know that. Yes, I know. Yeah, totally. I'll go back to busting balls. Brian says Joel mentioned how when they were out in the woods that it was too remote for zombies. I thought that was odd. Yeah, let's go to that after some more comments. Did you see the billboard for Robin's? I think he means Robinette's Eggery.
Robinette.
Was that real? Was that there?
No.
Okay. Another Fear of the Walking Dead reference for those who know. But that would have been really cool.
You know.
With their zombie heads on it. Bivy said maybe they couldn't get the copyrights for the song.
Maybe.
No, but I think a lot of people like to refresh those kind of, especially if you're playing at the end credits too. And especially if you're trying to strike a mood, because the original New Order song is a bit more upbeat,
I think
up-tempo.
it's in reference to the Hank Williams song change.
Oh, okay. But does that make sense though? Because I mean, if it's one Hank Williams
I don't
song,
know because I don't know how Hank Williams' estate was dispersed, so I don't know.
That's a good point.
The rights to any of those.
That's a really good point.
It could be a grandson. It could be somebody else. I have no idea.
Well, so let's go back to Brian's comment about how odd it was that he said that there's no infected out here. At first, I thought this was pretty odd. But then it kind of makes sense, right? Based on how these infected act, right? They want to gather in places where more people are, hypothetically speaking, right? Does that make sense? Or did you think that was odd as well?
Well,
Well,
yeah,
there's
less
no
food
people
source.
to infect. There's no people to infect, so there's no reason for them to be out there. They want to be they're like the Little Mermaid. They want to be where the people are.
You know, that also brings, so because we, just so for people who are just tuning in, who don't know what we do, we're primarily a podcast that breaks down the Walking Dead universe. So sometimes we have those notions smuggled in, but it's interesting to see how the purpose of these infected are to propagate. And the purpose of the dead is more of like id. We need to just consume. We just keep consuming. There's no end to the consuming. We don't get full. We keep eating. And so it's weird to see that. That's like the biggest difference between the infected and the walkers in The Walking Dead. It's like, instead of living to, well, there was a joke there because we talked about what if a walker wanted to have sex? And then I won't remind you of what I said. Yeah, we had, in the beginning of one of our episodes, we opened up with a question that was asked on Facebook about what if a walker could have sex? And then I explained how that would be terrifying and why. And it was, there's a clip there somewhere. I think it's in the beginning of one of the Fear episodes.
I listened to it. I remember that conversation very
It was
clearly.
more one-sided because of the horror. But yeah, so it's interesting to see that these infected, their sole purpose is propagation. Just propagate the fuck out of everything, essentially. Even the biting is not about eating as much as spreading. So just very interesting for our crowd.
These zombies aren't hungry.
No.
They want to spread.
Yeah, and I'm sure they eat. But yeah, it's just like the cordyceps in life.
What do you think they eat? I mean, if it's a fungus, do they just absorb
Their host.
Yes,
flesh?
the fungus eats
Absorb
the host.
yeah.
Yeah.
Essentially. And then they die.
Like on Zay Frank. We learned all about it.
Oh, so we'll talk about
Yeah.
that. when did you see
watch the
Zay Frank?
video on it?
Yeah, of course we did.
We'll talk about it.
I just did. It's a fungus in it.
It was about the fungus that takes over the ants, and it basically so what it does is it guides the ants to bite onto leaves where they can suck the sap out of the leaves, and that's what the fungus thrives on. And then the ants die, and then the fungus dies. Or except the ants die, and the fungus is it goes to the leaves, and then it transfers to other animals.
Oh, so it's also like an invasive species, in a sense. Like, so
And they were talking about how smart.
Well,
it
it's
was
to
too,
other
the
ants.
new
Yeah, it goes to
the
other
new
ants.
slimy one.
right.
The new smart slimy
Yeah.
one. The
Yeah.
created.
This one, well, that one,
patterns and stuff.
that one was about
Right, that was a different one.
about slime molds,
Mm.
Yeah.
which was
Okay.
really interesting and a little scary,
It
to
was
be
cool.
honest.
It
Yes.
really was. Like, these things are smarter than some people I've met.
So Japanese RPGs casting the slime molds as the weakest. Anyway, I had something
Walking
there
Dead
and I lost it.
Eternal. Walking Dead Eternal. He says walkers having sex. Wow, that conversation sounds horrifying to me. It was
Yeah,
horrifying.
it was horrifying. My answer was even more horrifying.
Go
And
find it though, because it was funny too.
yeah, it's at the beginning of one of the episodes. If I think of it, I'll bring it up. But we had another, because of the Fear of the Walking Dead season 7 episode 2 episode. I think we had a conversation about what it would be like for babies, walker babies, and that was also equally horrifying. So let's read some comments. Thomas says there's nothing worse than having the Cranberry song stuck in your head and in your head and in your head.
Say it right.
No,
Say it right.
No,
Say it right.
I can't hear myself sing. That's the problem.
Do it right. Do it right.
Lol. Thomas, Brian says, Pipe says, let's not talk about walker sex again. Nope. Pipe says, Thomas, no, please. Walker's having sex. That's right. Walking Dead Eternal. Okay. Pivy says, when I was a kid, I saw that X-Files episode where the ancient fungus controls people's brains. I'm still traumatized.
I remember that one.
You guys know how I feel about X-Files. Thomas says, I had a fungus once, but a little penicillin took care of it. I read you loud and clear before I could spread it. That's what he says. Pivy says, why wouldn't walkers have a libido, though? Eating is a primal instinct, just like the sex drive. And that was part of my answer. Let's keep going.
Ew. Ew.
If that's a variant.
Oh god.
Isn't that frightening?
Just picture.
Next.
Oh, here's the thing, though.
No.
What's worse, to be bitten or to be humped? I'm just saying.
Humped. Please,
Humped would be worse.
please just eat me. Eat.
But you're both clothed. I mean, you would still be
Okay, bye.
alive.
Not for long. Anyway, let's keep
I'm out of
going.
here.
Bye. Let's race to the door. Okay.
Next topic.
Okay. Do you guys have anything that stuck out to you in this episode as well? Because besides a walker's pee-pee,
Well, I wanna mention for anyone who didn't listen to our other episode that aired on Sunday live after the episode, Sharon and I and Dave all went through our first impressions already and kind of talked all of that over. So we didn't just skip us this time. It's just that Rachel wasn't there, so we wanted her feedback today on how she felt about it. But I know Sharon D brought up a lot about the the same thing that was it Brian that said it about the Mother Nature taking over.
yes, yeah.
She had mentioned the railroad trestle and the train hanging off of it and stuff like that,
Yeah.
which was
They had some
is
really
pretty cool.
awesome shots. A shot that I absolutely loved was when they turned off to go into the woods and they showed that aerial shot of the truck driving in across the field. Man, that was just beautiful.
In
That was a
silence
beautiful
too.
shot.
It was a
Yeah.
good effect.
But I loved all of the because Ellie hasn't seen the world, right? She has all she's ever seen is the QZ, and she's seeing what's left of the world. Like she's still not really seeing the world because what she wanted to see doesn't exist anymore. So she's seeing what's left of it. The
And that's her
tanks
first impression
and
of the world.
trucks. Yeah. And the other thing I said was there's no way in hell I would have driven over a 20-year-old bridge that hasn't been maintained in 20 years.
Preach.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Find a way around.
But
Go build a ferry or something and ferry your ass across the river.
right, like
I wouldn't
in The
drive
Walking
on that
Dead World
bridge.
Beyond. Anyway, you build a raft.
Riding across the river.
Yeah. Well, it's funny how we're bringing that one up again.
There's plenty of nail polish left.
Yeah, the acetone or whatever that is.
The nail polish is probably better than the gas after 20 years.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean that.
and it would
was the other thing,
separate
like,
too.
They didn't. They just said that their insinuation is that it got weak over time, so that's why they had to keep stopping to get gas. And like, I don't think it gets weak. I think it would just not work anymore. Like,
It
I feel
breaks
like it would
down and
evaporate.
separates.
Yeah, that's
I feel like
the
it would
problem.
just evaporate.
oh
Yeah.
look, Lois is late this time, guys.
Yeah, Lois.
Oh, Lois.
After giving
How
it, by the
dare
way, for
you.
context, we're not beating up on Lois. She was beating up on us the last episode because we were late, like a minute late, 2 minutes late. So we're having fun, people. Okay, but actually, dovetailing off of what you just said about not nature making resonance, but okay, this is Ellie's first impression of the world. Something that was said after the episode was something that Craig Mazin had said. And it was, violence is ugly, but easy. I mean, I'm distilling it. And Ellie is learning about the world, like you said. Like she's seeing these things for the first time. Ellie is experiencing for the first time what it is to kill somebody and how easy it is to commit murder.
Actually, she says she already killed somebody, so it's not her experiencing killing somebody for the first time.
There's a difference between killing somebody and murdering somebody, essentially. And I have a feeling because I sort of know what she's referring to, and this was more of like you could have not killed this person in this instance, and yet you're figuring out that you have to. Like we're figuring out that that they have to. We know that, but she doesn't know that, and so I just find it funny that she is learning this stuff without any sort of moral framework to kind of anchor her. And like the questions that we would normally have on this show that you know, because we grew up in relative safety. We didn't grow up with all this violence surrounded by us, but she doesn't have that. This is her. She's 14 years old. She's known the world up to a certain point within the confines of the QZ. And so I just find it interesting that she's learning from Joel how to live, essentially.
She said that Fedra taught her how to hold a gun.
Apparently not well enough.
Well,
but not to murder
my
and
point-
shoot.
My point is, if Fedra taught her how to hold a gun, I'm sure they also taught her to shoot to kill.
I'm not sure. I mean, it just doesn't seem
They
like...
don't seem like the good guys.
But you also can't teach somebody how to... Like, you can't teach somebody or instill in somebody what it's like to murder somebody. I don't think.
That
Right?
would be
Because...
really unwise of a government agency to teach its citizens how to use guns if your goal is like oppression of the general public. That
right.
seems really stupid.
Yeah.
that they would do that.
In
That's
time
incredible.
immemorial, if somebody wants to take power, any tyrannical government usually
Brian.
takes away the guns first.
Bye, Brian.
So, oh, bye, Brian. Let's see. Okay, back to work is fun. Oh, thank you for checking in, Brian. Thank you. Okay. Well, let me read some comments before I continue. I just thought that was something to touch on if you wanted to dovetail to that, because that will link to something that, in terms of Kathleen, we should talk about. But and Joel, when the Raiders went to the building, who said this? When the Raiders went to the building, I just scrolled away already. Okay. Nope, no sex conversation. Let's keep going. Nope, I'm gonna move on.
It's like
We've
so much
talked
of
that
it
one to
is not
death. Okay, so Lois says she looked like she know what she was doing with the gun in that room. Yeah, she looked like, on first watch, I don't know about you guys, when I was watching that at first, I was kind of panicking because like the way she was kind of fiddling with it. But I still felt the same way on second watch, that she didn't know what she was doing. Or like, not that she didn't know what she was doing. I was just like, good. She's like holding it like this. It's like almost pointing at her
I thought
face.
she was pulling a Travis Bickle
What is that from?
from Taxi.
taxi driver.
Okay. Oh, gotcha. Gotcha.
You know when he's practicing in the mirror,
You talking to me?
he's
You
talking to me.
talking to me? I know you ain't talking. There's nobody else
You
around
come
here.
in here. Did you come in here?
Anyway, Thomas says it's a firearms. Oh, this is okay. Wait, let me say what Pivy says. But my Walker sex here. Nope. Thomas says, as a firearm owner, I had so much anxiety for the opening scene when she was holding the gun. Poor handling, poor trigger discipline. Pointed at herself. So that's exactly what I'm talking about. Walking to Eternal says it was funny how Joel asked Ellie who taught you how to hold a gun, and Ellie said Fedra, and Joel said figures. That was funny. Yeah, I agree. How could you not read my horde pun? I just did, didn't I? Okay. Let's see, where else can we go from here? Well, okay, so I wanted to dovetail a little bit more on what is learned because, okay, throughout this episode, there's a very interesting theme that comes up that kind of crosses over between different people in this episode. Joel says Tommy was a joiner. He talks about him being in Desert Storm, and even that turned out to be not what he thought it was going to be, right? I saved his ass then. He joins up with the Fireflies, but now he hears that he's left them as well. I have this weird feeling that that Tommy's going to go chain smoking to some other thing, and that thing is going to be a cult. Some sort of cult. But it does bring...
Sounds more like a quitter than a joiner.
Wait, did you say Thomas or Tommy?
Tommy.
I'm kidding. But yeah, I guess so. But like, there's a span of time in between then and then. But he still keeps joining, right? Joel never said that he was a consistenter. He's just a joiner. But there's also like the idea of purpose. And I don't think Tommy's necessarily wrong, because I think when Ellie says, what's the point? You know, what is the thing that gets you out of bed? And yes, he says family, but is that enough? And that's my question to you guys, because that is obviously a TWD watcher's wet dream when you hear that answer. Oh, he said family, like TWD family. Oh, you know, we like to be together and we survive and we do the things to survive and we stay together. But like, is it enough? Because by my estimation, Joel, his sole purpose in life for the last 20 years plus, because before the apocalypse, he had to take care of Tommy. Tommy basically practically lives in their house pre-apocalypse. You know, he's basically taking care of him. Obviously Sarah, his daughter. And then you go post-apocalypse, his sole thing in life was basically to take care of Tommy. It makes it seem like that, at least when he describes it. He joined Tess's crew just to keep watch over Tommy. When he was with the Fireflies, he saved his ass, essentially. And then when he went away, his sole purpose in doing anything, it seems to be... This is something I said in the first episode. I had said, I feel like his whole raison d'etre is this out-of-the-box familial obligation to protect family. like his whole thing. And it's proving true in this episode. His whole purpose of getting out of bed in the morning is to take care of someone, is to protect someone. But what if you take that away? And then you have Kathleen. Because even after toppling Fedra, let's say, you'd think that was a win, right? You'd think that would be the game over, we're good, let's focus on building this community. No, it seems like Kathleen is hell-bent on getting justice for her brother by finding both, was it Henry and Sam Burrell, if I'm not mistaken?
I
It's
remember
Henry and Sam. Yes.
Okay, so you have like Perry, this military man that's doing everything in his power to follow her. But like at the same time, don't you think it's a bit weird? Because even I said in the last episode, it seems like she's sacrificing a doctor. She's sacrificing the safety of her people just to find these kids. Right? You'd think that winning the war was enough. So what happens when you take away someone's purpose? They can't feel the satisfaction. They need another purpose. So that's what makes me worried a little bit for Joel. What if Joel protects Ellie, takes her to the thing? What if Tommy dies? What does Joel do now? So that's what makes me wonder. And that future could look like Kathleen, where you have to find something new to go after. And that thing might be crazy. And maybe she is cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. So, okay, have you seen that? Like, are you seeing that sort of happening on the show? Like the little comparisons?
Well, you asked us two questions. So
Yes.
hold on. Because you asked
So
us questions,
is family enough?
You immediately launched into something else. So hold on. Let's recap.
So the question is family enough? And is there value and purpose?
I think it depends on the family.
Okay.
Fair.
And
Jinx.
you know, it depends. It is as far as purpose goes, and that depends on the individual person. You know, if family may not be your purpose, but maybe you can find another purpose. You know, maybe Joel gets Ellie safe where she needs to go, and he can find another young person that needs help getting somewhere. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can always find another purpose if you want to, but you have to want to.
But it has to not be like an obsession, right? I guess if there's nothing backing up that purpose, then it overtakes you, right? And then you just have to find another thing to obsess over, because that's what it looks like for Kathleen. When her brother died, she didn't have anybody to share that success with, so she just continued on this warpath. Sounds like. I guess
that's more
I feel like we're making a lot of
overwhelming-
assumptions for Kathleen.
I think
right
that's
now.
more
It's
overwhelming grief
hard.
than it is obsession.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. She's so bent on revenge that she's letting the things that really matter to save people slide, like the pulsing molten rock monster underneath the building. That she's like, oh, just lock it up and we'll just shut the building off. You know,
Shut the building. It's
but
fine.
it's underground. So
What is that thing called in Lord of the Rings? It starts with an R.
And Lord of
Remember the Balrog? Sorry, the Balrog. That's what it kind of like. Thank you. Sorry, it's a B. Balrog. That's in the next.
you shall not pass.
You shall not pass. Sorry, that's my terrible, terrible Joel impression. But
I thought it was Morgan.
Someone make that a
No.
meme.
That's
I need to see
you
that.
shall not
I need to
pass,
see
and he
that.
has a stick too.
I need to see it. I need to see him with his staff standing there.
It keeps going, doesn't it?
I can't, because now I'm picturing it in my head.
Okay, I have to read this comment because it is worthwhile. Thomas says, "When two walkers have sex, is that baby called a crawler?"
No, Thomas, no.
But
No.
And Tommy used to work on the docks. His union's been on strike.
You,
Here
no,
we
you're not
go.
saying it right.
Nope.
You're not
No.
saying it right.
Do
Is
it right.
that's the
You're not
point?
saying it right.
Right.
Because we need to move.
Do it right.
Slow says, or another family. So that's kind of what I was saying. Is family enough to be a purpose, though? or does it?
Keeping your family alive? Yeah.
Yes,
Well,
I
yeah,
think
yes.
that's
you're
I think that's
protecting them.
enough to be a purpose.
But then
Yeah.
what happens when it?
Isn't that what like most people do like now?
Like now?
That's our
Yeah.
purpose, like right now.
Ideally,
Yeah.
but like, what happens when that?
Again,
I
it
strive
depends
to
on the
keep my
family.
son alive.
Wait,
I strive to keep my son alive
yeah.
pretty much every day.
But what happens when that
Yeah.
passes you by? Like, what happens to you after that?
Like, what do you mean? After he's grown
'cause
and doesn't need me anymore, that won't happen.
my point about Joel is that is and continues to be is pre-apocalypse and continues to be his sole purpose. He just keeps finding chain-smoking family to be the protector of, but he does not have any ambitions of his own. Like, yeah, like eating, shitting, and making money, but
Well, but what ambition is there to have in the apocalypse?
Yeah.
Like I want to be a dentist later. Like what ambition is there
I'm
other
gonna be a
than staying
lawyer.
alive and
That-
helping other people stay alive?
that's a good point. But I think I'm trying to. It kind of makes.
That's also, I will say, that's also the appeal for us.
Oh
If
wait,
I don't have
be
to worry
specific.
about all the extra garbage in life and all I had to worry about was keeping myself alive and keeping my family alive, suddenly my days are full. And I don't have time to be worried about anything else.
Yeah, nobody cares what shoes you're wearing in the apocalypse.
Yeah,
Yep.
No.
yeah.
Yep. Exactly. And
There's
so
no-
that's the appeal.
The rat race is a literal rat race. Like it's not a metaphor anymore. It's literal.
No. So I'm racing these rats to get to this
To
food
the
before
food,
they ruin
yeah.
it.
Before they do, yeah.
I guess the whole reason why I even brought that up is to kind of compare Kathleen to Tommy. I was gonna say Joey. What's Joey? Joel and Tommy. Because
I can see that it's the parallel of a sibling and a sibling lost and what do
exactly.
you do with yourself after that. But Joel still has hope and Kathleen does not. Kathleen has lost her hope.
Well, and it's essentially, isn't Kathleen no different than in some ways Carol going after everybody that killed Henry, essentially? Right?
Yeah, we saw how that worked out.
At the expense
like-
of the people who survived, right? Not to
like
bring
really
that
screwed
chestnut
over a
up
lot of
again, but
people.
like,
I mean, so they go through the trouble to bring down Fedra because they
Right.
want a better life, but they're not having a better life because she's so bent on revenge that they're all going to die anyway.
right. And not taking care of their food supply, shoring up their defenses. And obviously they're so desperate that they have to concoct these schemes where like, and I'm sure that's common, or I don't know, maybe it isn't. You can comment on that all you want. But like they have these schemes around the city to stop strangers and get more supplies from other people that may be just like them, that escaped other
Joel
QZs.
said he did it.
Right.
Joel said he did it too.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I got the impression that it was something that people do.
I mean,
He recognized it right away.
It's
So
a dog eat dog world. You
Mhm.
when you play the Game of Thrones, you win or you die, and they're all going to die if they don't win.
That's why you shoot. That's why you shoot to kill in the apocalypse.
Well, yeah. But it does kind of bring up the idea that like, isn't it interesting how like they had to become the monster to defeat the monster, and now they just have to continue being this they have to be the oppressive force on others in order to survive. Which
But we don't know enough about this group yet to know why they're oppressive on strangers because there's no unity anymore. It's us or them, you know? There's no it's humanity doesn't matter anymore because your survival, it's us or it's them. So sorry, I lost my train of thought.
that's okay.
So keep going because I just completely
Yeah.
lost my train of thought.
But yeah, doesn't that illustrate? But
I
like,
hate when that happens.
we as an audience, you know, yes, that is 100% true on a practical utilitarian level. But we as an audience live in like relatively peaceful times. So it's a very interesting confrontation of what we've got going now versus what we're looking through a pane of glass into another world where, well, this is the cost of having survival be the first axiom or the highest on the hierarchy of needs. Well, not everybody in humanity is going to be. Well, you have to lose a little of your humanity to keep yourself alive, let's say. And so it's very confronting. And there's a part of your brain. Oh, I would obviously be the Rick at first. Obviously at first, not later. But I would obviously be the Rick. But maybe not. And so I think they're doing a good job, much in the way The Walking Dead does, of having us confront our humanity in a peaceful time with the lack or the necessary shrugging of humanity in order to survive. And then we have to ask ourselves these moral questions of what would I do? And Rachel would shoot to kill first. No questions asked. So I just
Yep.
I don't
Yeah.
I'm saying I don't know
Yeah.
what I would do. And that's fair.
Oh, I've gone
And
on
you would be
record
dead.
saying I would kill people for
You
the
would be
people
dead.
I love.
Mm.
Like I've talked about that here, like
Yeah.
on this podcast.
Yeah, yeah.
There's
this
no
wasn't-
doubt in
this-
my mind.
This
Tom.
wasn't a situation where the guy was like, I mean, I may have fallen for the, oh, I need help, but like Ellie shoots the guy who was clearly attacking Joel. Like
Yeah.
there's no question. You would have shot him too, David. You would have killed that man. If you were attacking the person that you were with, that was saving you, protecting you, you would have killed that person.
Yeah, no, after watching the second time, yeah. No, but that's kind of my point. It's like I'm not there, so I don't have that high blood pressure stakes sort of situation. So upon watching it again, I actually wrote down what the kid says before he gets shot. Is it not Henry? It was Brian, right? Bryan, not Brian. Brian Castrillo. If you watch this further, and he says something to the effect of, he says, "You're gonna pay." Oh, but this is when he busts through the door. You're going to pay. You just killed yourself, motherfucker. Like, what? Okay. And then afterwards, it's like a child. He is a child. That's, I think, what got me the most. It's okay. It's over.
That's the startling part about it is like you see him from afar. He doesn't look young. He looks like
Right.
he would be like a regular, mid 20s, 30s person.
Right. He's all blurred out
Then
and everything.
You see him up close. That's the intention. That's the narrative that they're trying to hit you with is like, here, look at this.
He looks like an
kids,
NPC.
Babies be having babies. Like there's gonna be kids fighting you, trying to kill you.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, let me just read you what he actually says. It's like, it's okay. It's over. We're not fighting anymore. It's what
Fighting anymore.
it's what
Yeah,
children
bitch, you're paralyzed.
It's what
That's
chi-
why.
it's what children say when they're getting in trouble, right? Like,
not
I just
fighting
bullied a
anymore.
kid and like, no, we're not fighting anymore. This mommy, and he says, my mom isn't far. If you can get me to her, we could trade with you guys. We could be friends.
Why can't I move my legs?
Yeah, it's just so startling, and it does remind me of what Sharon and I were talking about when it comes to revolutionaries, right? Specifically, like the biggest indicator of how they can go wrong is the French Revolutionary War, where, yes, of course, it was oppressive. People were going hungry, let them eat cake. And then French Revolution happens and it gets dark. and just like Kathleen, everybody's getting inquisitioned to the guillotine, right? Collaborators are put to death. And people were put to the guillotine up to the early 1900s, I want to say. I remember the last one was
Last one was in the 20s, I think.
yeah, frighteningly into the 20th century.
Yeah, it was in France in the 20s, I think.
Yeah. So, which is how ingrained that violent stain of culture managed to permeate in France up until that point, up until like almost the First World War. That's crazy pants. So they're kind of illustrating it really well here in Kathleen and what she does and how everybody's going along with it. Just like everybody had to go along with it in Fedra, let's say, like when they were under Fedra control. They went from one oppressor to another oppressor. And of course, nobody's going to speak up to the revolutionaries because those fuckers beat the other fuckers. So nobody's going to speak up. No way. No way. So, and why would they? They just beat the other oppressor. So it's like, you know what? They're not as bad as the other guys until they realize that they're going hungry and maybe some of their people are getting killed. Among those people are Sam and Henry. And what I said in the last episode, after really looking at this episode, killing the doctor, killing the doctor, not telling their own people about whatever it is underneath the concrete. There was other stuff too. It's like going after these kids at the expense of everybody else. And I was thinking to myself, she can't be that crazy. Yeah, she can be that crazy. It's just unbelievable.
Doctors don't do too well in this post-apocalyptic world, apparently.
Even the
Again, don't be a doctor in the apocalypse.
and it doesn't it kind of go back to like what you're talking about family, because this doctor happened to deliver Kathleen, and yet she turned on that family for the sake of her own revenge.
I don't know if I'm ready to call Kathleen crazy yet. I don't know enough about her.
I would.
Her actions to me don't say crazy yet. I feel
Well,
like
they did to me.
I was.
for
I was.
whatever reason she has her reasons and we don't know what they are yet.
That's what I
I
was.
just don't know enough about her.
That's what I said in the reaction video, and then I guess they're painting me into a corner where I go with my original gut instinct, like, oh, she might have her reasons. These kids might be even crazier than her, and obviously one of them is responsible for her brother's death.
Do we know they're kids? Why do we think they're kids?
Well,
We saw
They could
them.
be
at
like
the
saw
end.
them.
you
men,
see them right at the
We
end.
saw them at the end of the episode.
That's them. Why do
Henry-
why do we
Yeah,
know that
that's
that's
Henry
them?
and
Yeah,
Sam.
it's
Why do
Henry
we
and
know
Sam.
that's them?
Because of the drawings on the wall where they were hiding out. That's literally them. Because one of them,
Hey, Superman.
yeah, Henry is
Yeah.
is in the grease paint
Yeah,
from the
Yeah.
photos.
he had like a little mask
Or
painted on his
Sam.
face.
Sam.
Sam is the little
Sam
one.
did.
Henry is the bigger one.
Yeah, and Henry is basically
Henry
a
is
teenager.
older.
Together.
Yeah,
he's
a-
like a teen.
Yeah, he's a teenager.
Yeah. I don't know, the way she kept going on and on about Henry, and we got to find Henry. It felt almost like he wasn't real, like it was somebody she made up
Right.
for them
I
to
felt
go.
like he was going to be like
right.
already dead or something.
Right. She's like,
she
and
was
Henry did
yeah.
this, and Henry did that, and Henry's responsible for this. And I was like, is this even somebody real, or is this just some shit she's made up? Because
What
but
got
then, of course, we
me-
see who it is. But I'm like, well, what? She's after these kids, like.
That's
they're
what made me think she's
kids.
kind of nuts. Was the like Henry probably radioed into these people? I'm like, she's
Right.
crazy.
Right. That was
Right.
the way she kept bringing up Henry. Henry probably like you have no idea, and you're just telling these people this.
So
That and the whole I'm willing to ignore this giant pit of pulsating whatever. I'm willing to just turn around and be like, I'll deal with that later.
and not tell her people.
to go after two children. To me, just
Right. Who
just
could
screams they're all
literally
crazy.
be anywhere in the city.
And
like,
she's like,
Could
I don't wanna deal
literally
with
be
this.
anywhere, but they're gonna send their meager resources of people to go look for these two kids.
Yeah, and not only
It could
she
literally be anywhere.
I think that the thing that really got me into thinking that, and like I said, I was on where Rachel was at. I was totally like, maybe she has her reasons. But then when she said, this was the thing, out of all the effing things, she says, get more guards around our provisions. Like, these two are so threatening, on top of like, let's not tell our people about this pulsating fungus monster. I don't know. These kids are so dangerous that they need more guards on their food because they ran out of food in their old hideout. They're obviously going after our food.
Maybe they are. I mean,
I wonder-
what these kids do.
See, and I'm going to contradict what I just said because of you, Rachel. And that is, let me throw more evidence in your direction. And that is, one of the drawings in the room is of one of them as a superhero, obviously, is hovering over what appears to be either a Fedra soldier or a revolutionary. Because it's a figure in riot gear, essentially. So it could be a Fedra soldier. So they were part of the Revolutionary War, let's just call it. So they were that skilled enough to be a part of it, or they were that savvy enough to have a clear role in it, or it's them fighting the people, Kathleen and her people. So it's...
I don't know. I mean, this whole like Henry's the one who killed my brother. Do we even know that that's actually true?
Well, he ratted out.
He ratted them out. He ratted her brother out to Fedra.
So that's the thing. Like, he's not. That's what she thinks.
but
One, we don't.
yeah, because she's
we don't
also
know that
asking the
100%.
doctor. She's also blaming the doctor
Yeah.
for doing
So
it
like, we
too,
don't know
so.
100% if it's actually Henry or if he just is like, this bitch is crazy. I gotta get away from her, and he goes.
Or
into
it's more
hiding.
like her brother died, and maybe her brother died, and Henry was the one who had hauled ass, so she automatically pinned it on Henry
Assume.
and Sam.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like I said, she could be focusing less on justice than on keeping her people fed, safe, shored up, all those things. So like that's the thing
Well,
with
I mean,
purpose when it turns into an
finding Henry
obsession.
isn't going to matter if they're all dead from the pulsating bean sprout
Among
monster under the floor.
among so many things that can go wrong. So let's
We'll
read.
just call it the Sarlacc again.
I'm going with
Seems to be
I
Balrog.
like
fitting.
pulsating bean sprout monster.
Such a mouthful.
Sarlacc. I like it.
I did want to mention that Lieutenant Perry, who is the very handsome right hand man of Kathleen,
Is that my
good-looking
beautiful
guy.
silver fox?
That is
Even though he has a beard,
Jeffrey-
right, Rachel?
It's
What do
Jeffrey
you mean, even
Price.
Right. Say that again. Sorry.
That's Jeffrey Price. That's who plays him.
From
Jeffrey Price voiced Tommy
Yep.
in the games.
Yes. Yes.
Ah.
Yeah. And the inside of the episode,
And
they
I
kind of go
will
into
say this:
it.
I don't want to ruin anything, but I know for a fact that is not the first nor the last time that someone who voiced somebody in the video game will be on the show.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna leave
That's
that
cool.
there.
Kirsten
Marlene was one. Was it Marlene?
Yeah,
The
we
lady
mentioned
who
that.
played
Marlene is
Marlene was
one, yep.
one. Yeah.
So, yeah, Kirsten just posted a clip of her meeting the actor who plays. I forgot it was. I have it right here actually. It is. Oh no! I opened my email. Ian Alexander, the actor who plays Lev on HBO's Last of Us. So she just had an interview with him. Now Lev doesn't appear in the video games until the second part, but apparently Lev will show up in the series. As far as how this is going to go, it's interesting. But I'll post that
It is
interview
interesting.
in the blog.
I don't think I'm gonna be done with the games before the end of the season.
I think at some point it might not even matter, right? Unless you play the
I don't think it
whole
will.
thing all the way through, and then you can backtrack and write notes and whatever. Yeah,
I
but
mean, I really want to get through the game for the sake of this, but yeah, I don't know that it's gonna matter a ton.
yeah. Well, maybe. Lois says it's like she has a vendetta against Henry. So did Henry kill her brother? Exactly. Pivy says you're practically asking for jokes about pulsating meat monsters. I am actually. Thomas says there's a pulsating monster in my pants.
Not meat monster, bean sprout monster.
It's a bean sprout fungal meat monster.
Substitute.
Right. It's it's the impossible meat. Anyway. Lois says maybe she'll kill her brother and Henry's seen it. Yeah, maybe her brother went against her. Oh, that's
Interesting. That's a really
interesting.
cool theory, actually.
Yeah, and she's
like
just
that.
using Henry and Sam as an excuse.
As a way to hide it.
Yeah.
Mm.
Ooh, which makes it
I
even
like that.
more Harry Perry, as Pivy says. Lois says, who knows, but maybe there's more to the story. Yeah, and that's what I said in the reaction. It's like, I'm trying to hold judgment, but everything she does makes it seem that she's just more bent than worried about the whole reason why they overthrew Fedra in the first place, which is freedom and to keep people safe in the manner in which they want to be safe. Okay, Thomas says Troy Baker is supposed to be in it. Yeah, that's Troy Baker. Oh, yeah, but we will know that's going to happen later on. He knows something. Lois says he knows something and needs to shut him up. Ooh, mate, I like that even better. She thinks Henry or Sam knows something, and she needs to get them before they find somebody in the revolutionaries that they will tell it to, essentially. So it's not about getting him for ratting out her brother. It might be about something that Henry or Sam knows about. Are you guys sending me hints by way of yawning? No, it may be something that
I'm just very tired.
it may be something that Henry and Sam know about that she doesn't want getting out, essentially. That I like that. Okay. Let's see. As far as anything else goes, wow, a lot of this is me making evidence against Kathleen being crazy. I'm just gonna say this right now. The killing of innocent people comes up a bit. Yeah, you know what? I don't even want to get into that.
Innocent has very
Loose.
different definitions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like what Joel says in the beginning when she talks about when he mentions that they had plows so that they can get the tanks through the highways and stuff like that. And she goes, you'll be seeing a lot of those, including like tanks, helicopters, etc. But he says something very innocuous, and he says, "But they'll fight the wrong enemy, just scattered around now." What do you think he means by that?
I thought it was I it was really like ominous. It was like a really weird
Just
moment.
almost said it in a throwaway manner because it makes you
I
think.
thought it was in reference to like they ended up fighting people, right? Which they did. We saw that in
Mass
the
grave.
ditch scene in the mass grave in the previous episode. We've seen that. So I kind of thought that that was what that was in reference to. And also on top of that, you're fighting against nature
Oh,
and they
please.
couldn't win.
Okay.
They couldn't win. Like they couldn't. It was impossible. They tried and obviously they were brutally beaten down.
Yeah.
You can't fight a hurricane.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
Or
it's
you
like the
can't.
same thing.
You can't fight a virus with tanks and helicopters. Essentially, also.
Yeah.
But you're right. But it could also refer to people, right? Wait, what happened?
Yeah,
Oh,
I kind of thought it was in reference to both. Like they were fighting people that didn't, I mean, that's the wrong enemy. You shouldn't be fighting people. We should have been banded together to fight against this. But on top of that, you're fighting nature, and you can't fight nature. So
right. But you also have to consider where they're headed towards too, and it's not Fedra, it's the Fireflies. So that kind of makes me wonder from which perspective he's talking. So if it's the Fireflies, they're all scattered. Refers to what? Like their whole thing is about the cure, right? And he's kind of like saying it doesn't matter. Just like to contrast saying Tommy is a joiner. There's no point. Humanity is not going to win. It isn't going to win. So what's the point? So maybe it's just interesting to see like everybody seems to have their purpose or making up a purpose. Like Kathleen is making up a purpose to keep her going. So and it's weird to see that Joel is like firmly placed in the center, but he too is not immune from this. He keeps talking to Tommy as if he's a joiner, but he himself has always had somebody to protect. So I just think he's a hypocrite, essentially. He's a hypocrite. He acts like he's not affiliated with anybody, even Ellie to a point, and then all of a sudden he's being infected by her wanting to protect her, his obsession, his whole reason for being ever. So it's really cool to see narratively though. Let's see. Pivy says, and I caught that yawn, which bye Pivy. Thank you for making it to the stream. I know because Beauty and the Beast was on earlier, and thank you for coming on too. Walking Dead Eternal says, at least Kathleen isn't Jadis crazy. I prefer Jadis. Anyway, Thomas says 25 is less than 3 hours. Oh, 45 is less than... Right, thank you very much, you fucker. Lois says she is scared, and scared people do irrational things.
That's right.
Would you classify her as being scared, though? Unless it's going on Lois's theory that she is scared of what information they have to use against her. I like that. So, and maybe the brother's the excuse, or not, or is just something she made up just to get at them.
At best, she's blinded by vengeance.
And that makes more sense to me, by the way.
At best. So
yeah, you know what? I think it might be a good thing that I can't comprehend that crazy. And maybe again, we live in comfort in front of a glass pane. And so it's hard to put ourselves in her shoes. Thank God. Does anybody else have anything else to say? Anybody in the crowd, in the audience? Anything that we didn't bring up that we could bring up and talk about?
I'm going to be so sad when that beautiful white hair gets soaked in blood.
The Perry's right here.
Lieutenant Perry's.
Lieutenant Perry. Yeah, he's a sexy beast. I hope he makes it.
Sheridan, what did you call him?
What?
Perry.
What did you call him?
refer him
No.
Oh.
When we were watching the episode, I was like, "Who is this delicious, tall drink of water or something?" She's like, "Oh, it's the what's the
What are you, a flapper girl in the 20s?
No, she.
Who is this
she
tall
called
drink of
him
water?
She called him some. She referred something about Beta. She compared him to Beta.
Oh, I called him
Great
cleaned
value
up,
beta.
long-haired beta or something like that.
Beta that took several
She called-
showers.
yeah. It was
Cleaned
some
up, non-crazy beta.
Blow-dried beard.
non-crazy beta. That's what it was. Non-crazy beta. And I was like,
I also
"Ooh,
told you that.
okay."
I also told you when you said you were worried about him dying. I said, well, then he'd be your type.
True.
Right? So now we know he's
The
gonna
dead
die.
type. Just for
Yeah.
reference, yeah.
Yeah, I like him dead.
Yeah, that was from the which episode was that from? The Tales of the Walking Dead episode was that from?
That was from a lot of episodes.
This is
We've
the
made
dead
fun
type.
of her for that
Yeah, it's
for a
mostly
while now.
Glenn.
Ever since it came up, it's just a repeating theme. Thank God it hasn't gone away.
Glenn, Beta. Yeah,
Right.
I have a type.
Yeah.
Nacho.
Unavailable.
The unavailable dead type, right.
Oh, it started with Nacho. That's where
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
where it
that's right.
started.
And it just kept going too. It's great.
Yep. Glenn, Beta, Nacho.
Mm.
This dude.
Yeah, he's dead
He's
meat.
gonna die.
Yeah.
Sorry.
He's dead
Sorry.
meat.
I just signed your death warrant.
Yep.
Constable Bert.
He's gonna be dragged into the pulsating Sarlacc.
Sarlacc
pit.
pit.
That's what I'm thinking. Kathleen told him to leave it alone, and he's not going to be able to. And he's going to get like dragged under.
The impossible
He's gonna
fungus.
pull a real Boba Fett.
Maybe. There you go. Rachel's wet. Well, actually, no, because if he lives, she won't be into him anymore. So there you go.
This is true. No survivors.
Nobody survives. Wow, what a tragic love
She's
life.
like, dude, he's so hot. He's just so alive. He's too alive for me.
He's too alive.
Well, let's see the next episode.
I'm not
And
interested.
Just wait.
I'm waiting to decide for the next episode. It's like the second date. Maybe he'll die in the second date. Part 2.
That's how you know. That's how you know he's meant for you.
If he dies.
Oh my gosh.
Swoon. Anyway,
I'm
so
sorry. If we see this dude make out with a bean sprout monster, that might be too much.
you think? I don't know. Might be like that on the line
she's gonna-
razor's edge of
She's gonna
attraction.
Imagine she's a
That'd be
bean
too
sprout
much.
monster then.
Oh, this could get weird.
Oh, to be those bean sprouts.
Oh,
gross.
I know this has something to do with last week's episode, but I just want to say how weird it is to watch Parks and Rec after watching
Oh,
last
yeah.
week's episode.
not at all that weird. Anyway. No, I was going to say on the note of whispers, that thing at the end, how the episode ends with Sam doing the thing, like a la Alpha, really, like the promos for The
No.
Walking Dead.
That wasn't a mask he was painting on his face. It was the Ouroboros, like she's got on her belt.
Fair enough. Why not? Bridget.
It's his dirt circles around his eyes.
Okay, yeah. Just the way dirt circles is not
Dirt circles.
what people really
Dirt.
call like eye makeup or like dirt circles. Dirt circles.
Wow, they just put dirt. They just put
In
dirt
circles.
around their eyes.
Dirt.
With dirt circles.
Duh.
You know, Bridget,
Yeah.
you have a way with words.
I just.
And there's
I'm a-
no denying how much I love you.
Eloquent.
Okay, just saying
Eloquent.
right now. Okay,
The southerner. In
let's
me.
just
We'll just call it what it is.
dirt circles sound like some confused aliens came down.
well, when you said dirt circles, my first thought was like
They missed the crops. They just went for the dirt.
the dirt circles.
It's the kind of aliens that go to the desert instead.
Yeah.
I went to the beach.
Yeah, I mean,
Let's go to the beach.
my first thought was you went like Brown Town, like it's like an anus. The dirt circles. Oh, there's anuses everywhere.
Ew.
Why do you immediately go to a butt, David? Ew.
Dirt
That sounds
circles.
like a personal problem. It's not gonna have anything to do with me.
Like when the dog is trying to clean his butt on the carpet. You know, that's the dirt. He's creating dirt circle. Anyway,
No,
Instead
nobody
of
brought
grind
up
it
butts.
in.
You went there.
One,
Yeah,
that
well.
wouldn't even be a circle because it's dragging.
you need to take responsibility
So,
for
like,
what
learn
I
your
thought.
shapes. Learn your shapes.
Clearly, no, I'm in the wrong here. It's fine. It's fine. Thomas says maybe she has to find Henry because he has the lube she likes to use for the zombie sex. Walking Dead Eternal says Negan did make out with a zombie walker. I mean Alpha. Yeah. Emojis. David, you're disgusting. Thomas, I'm disgusting.
Disgusting.
I'm disgusting. Well, you're in good company, I suppose. If there's nothing else, folks, shall we?
Ask a real serious question first?
Yes. I know where this is going.
Where is it?
Do you know why the Scarecrow won an award?
Because it was
Standing in his field. Dirt circles. Bye, y'all.
why does that get me? And with that, everybody. Disappointing ending. No, I'm kidding. Thank you very much for joining us on this live stream discussing The Last of Us' fourth
Disgusting
episode.
ending.
Yeah, this the dirt circle ending with the Sarlacc circle with the impossible meat.
Hex circle.
It's
There's lots
impossible.
of dirt circles in the Sarlacc.
We're all, you know what? We're all a bunch of dirt circles. If you like what you heard, head over to ratethispodcast.com/Squawking Dead. 5 stars in a dirt circle is all we need to know that you love us. But tell us what you liked. Tell us what you didn't like. But tell us after every episode. And if you really like what we're doing, all we ask from you, pretty please, is head over to ko-fi.com/Squawking Dead or patreon.com/Squawking Dead and just follow us. We don't need you to buy us a coffee to show your support. You know, on this stream, if you do, the message will pop up saying how much you love us forever. Or you
I
don't.
need coffee.
No, you need to sleep. You don't have to join a membership tier for as little as $1 a month. All we ask is so that you follow us there, so that you're in the know about the things that we do behind the scenes. Some of the things that we do that are for free are we post our recording schedules for you to join us for free in the pre-recording episodes. But you also get to know when we drop our unedited episode recordings, of which we just dropped the collaboration I did with OnTap, the full unedited mess, as well as the unedited interviews from, we'll be posting them soon, from That's My Viewing Party, the Walking Dead series finale viewing party in Covington, Georgia. We will be posting the edited video of our conversation, of Rachel's conversation with Chris Twellman, who is German Abe from Abraham's Army, and that is worth.
Any of that usable?
Yes.
Was any of that usable?
It is literally 20.
I'm shocked.
It's 23 minutes unedited. Guess how much I had to shorten it to?
It was 23
minutes.
minutes unedited.
Yeah.
3 minutes.
No, 13.
You got 3 minutes out
So
of it.
10
got
10
13 minutes out
whole
of it.
inappropriate for popular consumption minutes are available for you unedited soon on Ko-fi or Patreon, and it's so worth watching. I will be making an unedited reel of all the interviews all in one take, and that one's going to be the second one, and we'll be releasing the edited version of that tomorrow. So follow us on ko-fi.com/Squawking Dead or patreon.com/Squawking Dead. If you tip us, you'll be able to get that and anything else in our back catalog for 30 days of supported back content. But feel free to join a membership tier. You can join our Discord server where you'll get more information and much more conversation from us than we even post on Patreon or Ko-fi. I've been your host, David Cameo. And you were joined by Cosmom09, Rachel Burt, Sharon D, aka Blazy Gardner, and Bridget, ko-fi.com/punkybrewster. That's PUNKYBRUASETER. Thanks so much for tuning in, Thomas and Lois, and Walking Dead Eternal, and Brian.
Yeah,
and
thanks, guys.
Thanks,
Lois.
everybody.
Bye, guys.
Ivy.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Hey, Rachel. I have a serious question for you. You ready? She's not ready. What do ticks and the Eiffel Tower have in common?
Ticks and the Eiffel Tower. I don't know what.
They're both Paris sites.
It's so stupid.
Oh, ho, ho.
Oh. Good night, everybody. We'll see you later.
Good night.
Fuck out of here.
Right.
Yay.